I give the floor now to the representative of the Syrian Arab Republic.
Shukran.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, every time this Council holds a meeting on this agenda item, we found ourselves before a new blatant Israeli aggression against the Arab people, be it in Palestine or Syria or South Lebanon. This comes amid complete and unacceptable silence by the Security Council. 2 days ago, the Israeli occupation entity launched a flagrant attack on the Syrian sovereignty from the occupied Syrian Golan, which is under occupation since 1967. It has targeted the environs of the city of Damascus, which led to the fall of 3 military martyrs and the injury of 7 others, in addition to material losses. The escalating hysterical attacks of the Israeli occupation forces came under the protective umbrella of the United States of America and its Western allies. This led Israel to continue and persist in targeting civilians and civilian properties, as was the case in its aggression against the International Damascus Airport on the 10th of June, which endangered civilians and halted the operations in the airport for a few weeks, including the UN humanitarian flights. This was preceded by a similar aggression against the commercial port of Latvia late last year, which led to huge damage to the civilian structures of the port and the humanitarian and materials owned by the United Nations. Mr. President, our Arab peoples in the occupied Palestinian territory and the occupied Syrian Golan are subjected in parallel to aggressive practices by the Israeli occupation forces in a clear violation of the principles of international law and the provisions of the Charter, as well as relevant resolutions of international legitimacy, particularly Security Council resolutions 242, 338, and 497. At a time when Israel, the occupying power, continues its endeavors to entrench its occupation of the Syrian Golan and prolonging it through the confiscation of more Syrian properties and lands and stealing natural resources, while implementing settlement projects and other illegitimate measures that aim at altering the legal and demographic nature of Golan and void its Syrian identity, the Israeli occupation forces and authorities are also continuing their incursion of Palestinian cities, demolishing their homes, forcefully displacing them, confiscating their lands, and uprooting their trees to build thousands of new settlement units. The Syrian Arab Republic calls upon the Security Council to end its silence and urgently shoulder its responsibility to end the Israeli occupation of Arab land and hold its authorities accountable to its violations and aggressive practices that escalate threats faced by regional and international peace and security. My delegation also call upon the representative of the Secretariat and the Special Coordinator for the Middle East peace process to shoulder their mandates and not stand idle before those Israeli practices or covering them in the reports and briefings. Mr. President, the Syrian Arab Republic underlines once again that it upholds its right to restore the entire occupied Syrian Golan by all means, according to international law, since it is an eternal right that is not governed by any statute of limitations. We also stress that all measures and decisions undertaken by Israel to annex the Golan or alter its legal or demographic nature or impose any laws, authorities, or administration upon it are null and void and have no legal impact pursuant to international law and relevant UN resolutions, especially Security Council Resolution 498 of 1981. My delegation stresses on its right of reply to the repeated Israeli aggressions adequately in line with international law and the UN Charter. We also stress that we will continue mobilizing all international effort to condemn Israel and uncover its aggressive goals, especially as it washes its hands from the implementation of any requirements to achieve comprehensive and just peace in our region. Mr. President, the Syrian Arab Republic renews its commitment to support the Palestinian question and the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people. Will stand by them in their legitimate struggle to end the Israeli occupation and the establishment of an independent statehood on its territory, with Jerusalem as its capital, as well as the rights of return of the Palestinian refugees in line with international law, relevant UN resolutions, foremost Resolution 194 of 1948. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of the Syrian Arab Republic for his statement. Now I give